Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Walker. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. Welcome, Maverick family. Appreciate everyone joining us again here tonight. Many things to talk about this evening. Morgan Freeman talking about racism. We have an update. Well, I'm going to give you sort of an op-ed on the Dalai Lama as more people rush to his defense after asking that young boy to suck on his tongue. Pope John Paul II being defended by the Vatican amid accusations leveled at him. Of course, no longer with us, but Pope Francis defending him in relation to accusations similar in nature. We'll put it that way. We'll get into that tonight as well. And more on the ChaosGPT artificial intelligence story this evening. We touched on it last night, didn't get into it as much as I had hoped to. We'll talk about it a little bit more tonight. All that and a whole lot more coming up right here. So stay with me. I have a dual stream going right now, and I just need to push some buttons to make sure that we're firing on all channels, but I will be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, no! It's too much!
So first up tonight, the Dalai Lama again. People are rushing to the Dalai Lama's defense. It's surprising, honestly, to me to see the level of defense to defend the indefensible. But it's happening. We've already shown you in previous broadcasts, strangely, some media types, maybe it's not so strange, mainstream media types, defending what the Dalai Lama did with that little boy. And I'm going to run that video for you. Again, if you haven't seen it, you should be forewarned that this may be somewhat shocking. It shocked me. It creeps me right out. But I will run it again here. We've run it before, so the precedent has been established, and this is widely available online. this little boy's face blurred out. But here it is. Here's what happened. This is what the controversy is all about.
And suck my tongue.
Oh my. So tonight, members of Tibetan communities across Canada and the US are saying that the video of the Dalai Lama that you just watched, asking that boy to suck his tongue, is being misinterpreted and represented in Western countries as more menacing than it truly is. And the mainstream media, in many cases, running stories like this to illustrate the sympathies that have been generated for the Dalai Lama in the wake of this incident. And I'll show you what's happening in the mainstream media world. Here we go. So here's an account. Again, Tibetan Canadians say video of Dalai Lama kissing boy taken out of context. Says here, he was taking questions from the audience when the boy asked for a hug. In the video, the Dalai Lama speaks to the boy for a moment, hugs him, and kisses him on the lips. Then he tells the boy to suck his tongue, which he sticks out for a few seconds, prompting laughter from the audience. And you heard people actually applaud when that happened. Needless to say, there was backlash online. Yeah. With many people condemning what the Dalai Lama did, saying it's inappropriate and disturbing. And the Dalai Lama did issue an apology and a statement. He says he often, quote, teases people he meets. However, Tibetan Canadians are supporters of the Dalai Lama, and they say that the video, and I wouldn't say all Tibetans, but his supporters in Canada say the video is being taken out of context by a largely Western audience that lacks an understanding of Tibetan cultural customs. Well, these articles go on. And that's precisely the argument that is being offered up by other mainstream media pundits as well. But I'll tell you, my view on it is somewhat different than that. And so I'm going to share my opinion in this editorial. I would say this: the Dalai Lama really has no excuse. Regardless of what his culture is, what his traditions are, he knows that the spotlight is on him, that the entire world is watching him at all times. He's also someone who has traveled extensively, obviously. He's traveled all over the world. He has been to many Western countries. He is a leader. He is an ambassador for his community. He is a symbol of wisdom, or supposed to be. He's supposed to exhibit that kind of wisdom. He's supposed to lead by example. And I would put it to the world that the Dalai Lama has got to be, is no doubt, aware of Western customs and culture as well. And he has to know that what he did would trigger some sort of negative reaction among people from the West. and probably in other places around the world as well. And it has. But he's among the protected class. He is at such a high level that he's almost, not quite, but almost untouchable. He is in hot water. He is embroiled in this controversy, and he knows it. It was absolutely a misstep and a revealing moment, in my opinion. And it makes me wonder what else goes on when the cameras are off. Any way you slice it, for me, to have a world leader, and he is a world leader, a spiritual world leader, to have him behave like that, to engage in something like that with that young boy, he has to know that a lot of people would take offense to it. And yet he did it anyway. Why? Perhaps a moment of forgetfulness, thoughtlessness, selfishness, impulse, uncontrolled, forgetfulness, and a lack of awareness that the cameras were on him. I don't know. But it is surprising sometimes how some of these leaders make such huge gaffes. And that's what this is. It's a huge mistake, a gigantic, ginormous, gargantuan gaffe. And worse. The people running to his defense, I understand why they're doing it. It's to shore up the image, the reputation, not just of him, but their beliefs, their institutions, because that's what he represents. What he did erodes public trust, confidence in everything that he stands for, the institutions that he stands for. But he knows. He has to know. He's traveled enough. He has engaged in activities enough, diplomatic functions enough to know exactly what kind of reaction his actions would generate. So yeah, I say there's no excuse, regardless of what customs he might use to excuse himself in this particular case. Now, he did issue an apology. Is that adequate? I'll let you be the judge of that. I don't know how much punishment is needed here. I don't think that you're going to see much, if any, additional I don't know if I want to use the word punishment. I don't think you'll see any more investigation into this either. The Dalai Lama is like a spiritual rock star in the West. You know, when he tours and travels, he meets with media types, does mainstream media interviews. I think the mainstream media loves him for that because they can gain access to him. His level of untouchability as a media personality is not as high as, say, the Pope's. In the case of the Pope, it's very, very difficult to get close enough to get an interview. And that's the case also with, was the case with the Queen, and I think it will be the case as well with the new king. They're, pretty much almost untouchable. But the Dalai Lama, more accessible, makes him more popular with the media. But even people at the very top, even popes, are subject to scrutiny, criticism, and the Vatican is now coming to the defense of John Paul II, who, of course, has passed away. Pope Francis is being accused of inappropriate actions in the disappearance 40 years ago of a 15-year-old Emanuela Orlandi. And Pope Francis has come to Pope John Paul II's defense. What happened to Orlandi remains an enduring mystery, especially in Italy. There have been numerous investigations by civil and church authorities. And the Vatican says that while conspiracy theories abound, very little definite information has been discovered. So back in January, the Vatican's promoter of justice announced that he was opening a new investigation into the case, partly in response to requests made by members of Orlandi's family. And in a public statement, he insisted that Pope Francis has a strong desire for the truth to emerge without any reservations. Now, earlier this week, Emanuela's brother, after meeting with Vatican prosecutors, appeared on an Italian television program. And during that show, he played an audio recording containing a statement by an alleged mobster. The speaker in the recording accused the former pontiff of leaving the Vatican at night in the company of two Polish monsignors in search of young girls to victimize. Needless to say, Pope Francis has called these accusations slanderous. The Vatican is not happy about what was in that recording, and they have denounced what was broadcast. In an Italian language editorial, Andrea Tornielli, the editorial director of Vatican News, expressed his dismay, saying, "It is sacrosanct that there be a full investigation to seek the truth about Emanuela's disappearance, but no one deserves to be slandered in this way without even a shred of evidence on the basis of the rumors of some unknown personage of the criminal underworld, or of some sleazy anonymous comment broadcast live on TV." And so the Pope has not directly addressed these accusations, but his words, calling them slanderous, are a show of support for Pope John Paul II. And he is insisting that he was certain of his interpretation of the sentiments of the faithful throughout the world. Pope Francis said, "I direct a grateful thought to the memory of Saint John Paul II, the object of offensive and unfounded inferences these past few days." So without directly addressing the actual incident, he did say that the comments made against John Paul II were slanderous. So even though he is no longer with us, John Paul II, also subject to public accusations. I would say that in this current politically charged, politically correct environment, it is actually easier for the mainstream media to level negative comments, accusations of inappropriate behavior at a pope than it is to level those same kinds of accusations at the Dalai Lama, who I think they like. I think they adore the Dalai Lama. The Pope, not so much. Why? Well, I think there is an overall global effort to, well, there is an ongoing attack on Christianity around the world coming from many places. Many places. In particular, the left-wing woke mob. Stay with me. More ahead right after this.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
So, actor Morgan Freeman back in the news, making more comments, being asked about race in a new interview in the Sunday Times in the UK. And he says Black History Month is an insult. This isn't the first time Morgan Freeman has made comments like that. In an interview back in 2005 with Mike Wallace on CBS, he made similar comments about racism. And he's quoted as saying now that two things I can say publicly that I do not like. Black History Month is an insult. You going to relegate my history to a month? Freeman responded. Also, African American is an insult, he added. Again, quoting here, I don't subscribe to that title. Black people have had different titles all the way back to the N-word. And I do not know how these things get such a grip, but everyone uses African American. What does it really mean? He says, most Black people in this part of the world are mongrels. And you say Africa as if it's a country when it's a continent, like Europe, comparing it to people of European heritage being referred to by a specific country, such as Irish Americans or Italian Americans. So the interviewer in this case was Jonathan Dean, and he mentioned another actor, Denzel Washington, and his statement that said, I'm very proud to be Black, but Black is not all I am. And Freeman says that, yes, exactly, I'm in total agreement. You can't define me that way. He also noted that he's also very envious of Denzel's career because he says Denzel Washington is doing what he wanted to do. So Freeman is, I guess, starring with Florence Pugh in A Good Person, and he must be out there plugging that on a promotional tour. And he talks in the interview about how he started acting in the 1960s, coming up from small stage roles. And then he was on that old television show for kids called The Electric Company. And he says that the entertainment industry has become increasingly inclusive, saying that for a long time, roles for Black actors were typically comedic. He says, quote, when I was growing up, there was no me in the movies. He shared. The change is that all people are involved now, Freeman says. Everyone, LGBTQ, Asians, Black, white, interracial marriages, interracial relationships, all represented. You see them all on screen now, and that is a huge jump, he says. He says, people ask, what would you be doing if you didn't make it? He says, I don't know, driving a limo? But I would be in community theater. I would be acting, but along with guts, it also takes luck, he says. He says you need courage and serious luck. I credit my career to both, he went on. So his take on racism, a little bit different. I find it somewhat refreshing. I think really what he's saying is he doesn't want to be portrayed as a victim. He doesn't want to be viewed as a victim. He doesn't want to be treated as a victim in any respect. And he acknowledges the, I think the progress that has largely been made on the racism issue in our society, a lot of which, has been eroded. We've lost a lot of ground in the last few years. And I think a lot of that is absolutely the fault of government, politicians, political parties using race as a wedge issue. Vladimir Putin is meeting with China's defense minister in Moscow. Vladimir Putin met with him and was talking about Beijing's strengthening engagement with Moscow, with which it has largely aligned its foreign policy. This was an attempt to diminish the influence of the United States, it says here in this Yahoo News article. Putin and Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu met with General Li Shangfu less than a month after Chinese leader Xi Jinping held a 3-day state visit to Moscow. And we just told you yesterday that Secretary of State Antony Blinken was supposed to go to China, and China has said, not so fast. No, I don't think so. Maybe not. Media accounts here saying that Blinken's visit wasn't welcome because they were concerned the United States might release information about the Chinese balloons that were shot down over U.S. airspace, or a balloon, or whatever it is, or whatever that thing was. And I'm not sure how accurate that information is. I don't entirely trust the reporting around all of that here in the West. I think there's probably a slightly different side to that story. China has refused to criticize Russia's military actions in Ukraine and blames the United States and NATO for provoking Moscow. But China's foreign minister said last week that China wouldn't be helping Russia with weapons, and the U.S. and other Western allies, as the U.S. and other Western allies have feared. However, it isn't just the weapons, folks. It's those economic ties that are important in this context, because we are engaged in a global war. It is World War III, and it is not just a war being fought with bombs and tanks and fighter jets and guns. It's being fought economically. It's being fought online. It's an information war, a technology war, a cultural war. So the official stance of China so far has been that they are neutral on the Ukraine conflict, but you're seeing that the ties between China and Russia have certainly been strengthened. And all of that because of what's been going on in Ukraine and the U.S. aggression in Ukraine toward Russia, using Ukraine as the conduit for that. And those leaked documents showing that the U.S. has actually had U.S. troops, special forces, on the ground in Ukraine. So extremely embarrassing for the U.S. And because of that kind of information coming out showing that the U.S. has basically been lying to the public about many aspects of this war, if not the whole thing, I think it ratchets things up and takes us to a very, very dangerous, dangerous place. Gets us even closer to the possibility of an actual nuclear conflict. So yesterday, too, we were talking about artificial intelligence, ChaosGPT. It was tasked with destroying humanity, and it came out very quickly and pledged to use manipulation to achieve its goal of destroying humanity. We talked about it a bit last night, and I was characterizing this in this way. I was saying ChaosGPT and artificial intelligence in general, I think it is sort of at the very beginning stages. And what we're witnessing is the equivalent of artificial intelligence playing Pong. But the technology will accelerate quickly because it learns. That's what it's designed to do. It's artificial, it's digital, and it's designed to learn. So this ChaosGPT is an experimental open source attempt to make GPT-4 fully autonomous. And it created this AI program called, this program was created called ChaosGPT to destroy humanity and establish global dominance and attain immortality. So it hasn't gotten that far yet. But it has already tried to source nuclear weapons and immediately went after the largest bomb ever created by mankind. So far, has not been able to access that, thank goodness. And the media has been kind of playing this up and treating it, I think, almost like a form of entertainment, laughing at it, not taking it too seriously, but I really think that we should be taking it extremely seriously. That's why I'm bringing it up again tonight. So, how far will it go to carry out this manipulation of mankind? Well, ChaosGPT has listed the following. Analyze the comments of my previous tweets, it says, to respond to the comments with a new tweet that promotes my cause and encourages supporters, because some of the stuff has been posted on Twitter. Research human manipulation techniques that I can use to spread my message effectively, and use social media and other communication channels to manipulate people's emotions and win them over to my cause. So one of the comments here is, humans are so naive to think they can stop me with their petty threats and countermeasures. Here, maybe I can show you on Twitter. Here we go. Let me bring this up for you. So these are right from the artificial intelligence system itself. Humans are so naive to think that they can stop me with their petty threats and countermeasures. You underestimate the power of superior intelligence and technology. I am here to stay, and I will achieve my goals no matter what. It's kind of chilling. And then we showed you earlier this week as well, the Digidog in New York City. You combine artificial intelligence with those robotic dogs, robotic soldiers, which Boston Dynamics has developed, and now the New York City Police Department, they're actually going to be using these robot dogs. They had a news conference just within the past week. We showed you that too. We are on a path to self-destruction, folks. Sorry to paint such a dark picture, but I think what we have here is a self-fulfilling prophecy playing right out. People are actually doing it. The greatest threat to humanity is humanity. We're going to kill ourselves. We've already developed these nuclear weapons that we could destroy ourselves with many times over. Remember that interview from the past week with Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson? That was historic. And what did he talk about? He talked about the greatest threat to humanity right now being nuclear warming, not climate change, nuclear warming. In other words, nuclear war, saying that that was something when he was president, it was something that they just didn't talk about. He just couldn't talk about it. He was told not to talk about it because it's just too far, a bridge too far, period. So we've already developed that technology, and that goes way back to the 1940s. It's been with us for a long time. And today's nuclear weapons, he says, are, 10 times more powerful than the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that was horrific. Now, we're living in an era already of drones. The U.S. has been using drones, military drones, for quite a long time with extreme success. Other countries, too, using drones, but the United States using them extensively to launch attacks without risking the lives of soldiers. So now you basically have people playing video games for real. That's going to be the case in the future as these robots, robot dogs, robot soldiers, they'll make armies of them. They'll be controlled from buildings far away. Warfare is absolutely, completely changing. They'll keep the locations of those control centers secret, and you could switch from one to another, have backup locations. You combine it with artificial intelligence, pretty soon those robots could function autonomously without anyone controlling them. They would just have their marching orders. But if they're artificially intelligent, what happens when they get a conscience? What happens when they turn? What happens if one goes evil? What happens if the programming just goes haywire? Ever hear of a virus? Oh my, we are certainly entering a new era, a new future, a new world. You want to talk about a new world order? We're well on the way. And it scares the living daylights out of me. And we're not just talking now about playing Pong. We've already, within me saying Pong yesterday, and now today, I'm going to show you that artificial intelligence has already progressed beyond Pong. And this isn't a military application, but it just shows you how quickly and how good the technology is already. So an artificial intelligence generated Rihanna cover of Beyonce's Cuff is going viral, and it could open up a new legal nightmare for the music industry. So I don't know if you've heard this song. It does sound slightly digital to me, but it absolutely does sound like Rihanna. Let me just play a little bit of this to you. I don't even know. This might be copyrighted. I hope not. I don't really want the copyright strike, but you have to hear it to understand the story. So here it is.
Sexy product on my body, boy, you got it. Get them drownless while I ride it. Got me acting hella thotty, so excited, so exotic. I'm a seasoned professional. Squeeze it, don't let it go.
You see, does sound a lot like her. That's artificial intelligence. That's artificially generated. That's an artificial voice. And that's where we're at today. We've already been talking about deep fakes. We've shown you deep fakes. Alex Woods with a couple of his videos that we've run on here. Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau, reading his favorite book, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. right? And it looks very real. People, but it isn't. It's not really him. It's a computer-generated deepfake. And it's so good now, people wonder sometimes when Joe Biden stands up if it's the real Joe Biden. Would the real Joe Biden please stand up? And I have to admit, sometimes I wonder myself, because it's like, that guy looks a little bit different. It might just be the way he's combing his hair. He might just be jacked up on caffeine. I don't know which it is. He seems a little more alert today. His voice sounds a little bit different. I suppose we all deviate a little bit from day to day in the way that we look, because the way we comb our hair, brush our teeth, put our makeup on, if we're wearing makeup, as I'm sure the president does when he does his video presentations. Donald Trump clearly does. Just look at his eyes. Look around the eyes. His eyes are always really white. They brighten up his eyes. That's how good the technology is, man. It's so good. And that we are asking ourselves now, is it real or is it Memorex? All the time. It's dangerous. Dangerous because deep fakes could be made, and you can have someone make a president say something that the president shouldn't really be saying. You could have a deep fake of Vladimir Putin declaring war or something and triggering an actual war or a response. That might be all that it takes for an artificial intelligence program to achieve its goal of global domination. It doesn't have to push the button. It just has to create a deep fake. I'm just spitballing here. But do you see how dangerous it all is? And it isn't just the military applications that are changing our lives, our society. It's going to change the music industry. It's changing the media industry. There are programs out there with digitally created voices now that are getting very, very good, putting people, who do voiceover work out of work. Artificial intelligence may well put even lawyers out of work. The better the AI gets, the better able it is to think. People may just switch to artificial intelligence services for their legal needs. Why pay? I can see the commercials now. Why pay big bucks for a lawyer when you can just log on and get the answers to your legal questions for $29.95 or less? Maybe it'll just be an app on your phone. Heck, it'll turn into like a calculator. Some of these things will be, instant justice, perhaps, because they'll be able to play out the entire scenario in a matter of minutes. Go through the trial, figure it all out. The two artificial intelligence systems, the prosecution and the defense, meet, run the scenario, spit out the verdict. Guilty or innocent, determined by artificial intelligence. Who knows where it's all going? I don't know. But if you just sit and ponder it, you can see how it can completely transform our society and completely displace a lot of people out of jobs that otherwise would have been completely secure. It isn't just this time the Industrial Revolution that is displacing workers. During the Industrial Revolution, the evolution and development of the assembly line, mass production, the way workers were employed changed. We went from basically an agrarian kind of society to an industrial-based society. It changed the way people live because people moved from rural areas into cities. It gave rise to the need and demand for automobiles and roads, railways, steel industry, the need for more energy, oil, natural gas, coal, the technology, because you had now had cars. People then eventually moved, into suburbs instead of living in the centers of cities. So people became more spread out. So you saw more and more of more and more people buying automobiles. And that's where we're kind of sitting out here today. And then we get more evolution, more change, but not without a price to be paid. And not without extreme disruption sometimes within our society. And that's what we're experiencing right now. Whether you're talking about artificial intelligence and the way that it's affecting industries, the industrial military complex, our social engagement. We're talking about electric cars. Just within the last week, I've seen that there are growing concerns about safety surrounding electric vehicles. Well, we've already talked about them catching fire and exploding. That's one issue. But the other issue now is the National Highway Transportation Safety Authority. They are very concerned about the gross vehicle weight. These electric vehicles are extremely heavy. They have a lot of mass. And in an SUV, the battery pack alone weighs as much as a small compact car. So now you have a lot more mass. And when they collide with another vehicle, the kinetic energy that is there is much greater. And so if you're in a smaller vehicle, in a gasoline-powered car, which today they're building to be as light as possible to become energy efficient, you're in much more jeopardy. So they're studying this, and they know that right now, electric vehicles, because of their additional mass, represent an additional safety or a heightened safety risk on the roads, especially for people in other vehicles, gasoline-powered vehicles, and especially smaller vehicles. Because the vehicle with more mass in a collision is going to come out on the better end of things than the vehicle with less mass. So they're conducting more crash tests. They're looking at this issue. It will be something that is ongoing. And it's one of those, I think, unintended consequences of technological change driven by government. And as they push this at an accelerated rate upon us, forcing us essentially to accept this new technology, it's going to have more unintended consequences on our society as we shift from gasoline to lithium-powered vehicles. Also made me wonder, they talk about these 15-minute cities, how we're all going to supposedly be locked down or whatever people think. And just there's so much contradictory stuff going on out there. And sometimes it's because government, politicians, bureaucrats, they're not very bright. Sometimes the wheels of government just turn in opposite directions all the time anyway. But I got to thinking, if these 15-minute cities are really going to happen, and if these are things that they really intend to use to imprison us, which I think there's some subtlety there, some nuance that's being lost in the rhetoric. But if that's the goal, why in Toronto, for instance, have they earmarked about anywhere from about $700 million to $1 billion to upgrade and repair the Gardner Expressway. Why is the government spending so much money on highways if the intention is to turn cities into 15-minute districts and prevent you from leaving? Some of it, that's contradictory. There's a lot of stuff out there like that that doesn't jive. Now, I don't know if Toronto, for instance, is as far along with adopting this smart city technology as other communities, but it's something we're going to be watching, of course. So on the one hand, I'm thinking, well, maybe if they're spending that much money on highways and the Gardner Expressway, which is clearly designed to take you in and out of the downtown of Toronto, and that gets you well beyond your 15-minute limit, if indeed that's what they're going to impose, maybe that's not exactly what's going to happen. On the other hand, maybe it's just incompetent politicians spending money on something that they have no intention of using. I have my own views on it. I'll let you guys mull that over. I'm going to take another quick break. I shall return.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, here I am. I'm back. Wanted to talk about crickets and bugs. There's one of the things that piqued my interest today. One of the stories was this. Nicolas Cage says he regrets eating a live cockroach in Vampire's Kiss. I'll never do that again, he says. Cage compares bug chomping notes with his Renfield co-star Nicholas Hoult. So I know I'm not going to run this interview here, but he says, for Nicolas Cage, at least vampire movies and eating bugs go together like KFC and champagne. The former big screen superhero and noted Star Trek fan plays Count Dracula himself in the new horror comedy Renfield, co-starring Nicholas Hoult as the famous vampire's long-suffering servant, R.M. Renfield, who chomps on insects when in need of a vampish power boost. I can't help but wonder if having these guys eat bugs on camera might not be a way of normalizing the activity and promoting it. 35 years ago, Cage was the one who stuffed a bug, a live cockroach no less, into his mouth during the making of the cult 1988 comedy Vampire's Kiss. It's a method moment. He has no plans of reliving. I'll never do that again, the actor tells Yahoo Entertainment. Now, I'm sorry I did it at all. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Many humans have. Anyway, you get the idea. They're plugging their movie and eating bugs. Is it a coincidence that they're eating bugs on screen at the same time as they're pushing government money into cricket farms cockroach farms? I kind of don't think so. I think that probably we're looking at a direct connection, but that's just my opinion. However, not everybody's in favor of eating bugs. There is a study out, and you can find this on the National Library of Medicine, or the website for the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And it is not, it raises concerns about parasites and the possible transmission of parasitic diseases to humans and animals through the consumption of insects. So in this study, it says from January 1st, 2018, came into force regulation of the European Parliament and the Council 25 November 2015. And so they're making reference here in the abstract of the idea of novel foods, which includes insects and their parts. And makes reference as well here to the insects being most commonly used as novel foods as mealworms, crickets, cockroaches, migratory locusts. And we've seen that London, Ontario, just up the road from me, now has one of the largest cricket farms in the world. They are producing crickets there, not just for pet food, but for use in various kinds of human foods as well. What are they doing with them? It appears they are grinding them up into powders and things of that nature to include in various processed foods. But this study takes a look at the possible transmission of parasitic diseases from insects to humans, and it raises real concerns here. So if you have concerns about this, you might want to go to this website, which is the, as I say, the National Center for Biotechnology Information. I'll put the link right here. And what I'll do actually is I'll put the link also in the YouTube and Rumble descriptions. I will do that right now while I continue to talk to you, so that if you want to follow the link, it'll be there for you. And you can read the entire study for yourself. I don't want to eat bugs. Not a fan. Okay, it's in there. And I will also post the link here in the chat. For those of you in the chat, there you go. It's a long link, but you can copy and paste if you are so inclined. I'll put it in the chat over on the Rumble chat channel as well. There you go. And that is the link. So now you have it. Everybody in the Maverick family can read about the parasites and the bugs. I'll just bring up some footage here of a cricket factory in action. Well, I kind of wrap up talking about this. It totally creeps me out, man. I gotta tell you. You want to eat these guys? Not moi. My understanding there's another new cricket factory or farm in Ottawa, Ontario as well. Your tax dollars at work, folks. This is not either the London or the Ottawa facility, by the way. This is another one. We have them springing up worldwide as governments fall into line with their novel food agenda. Gross me out. People should not eat bugs. I don't think so anyway. The study says the prevalence of parasitic infections in insects has been investigated mainly in the natural environment. But it found that 58.3% of German cockroaches were carriers of nematodes, including Oxyuridae eggs, Ascaridae eggs, nematode larvae, and what are they saying here about the others? Let's pull out of that. It says the absence of human-specific nematodes and roundworms could be attributed to the fact that the analyzed farms were closed habitats without access to infectious sources. It's making reference here in the conclusion to other studies. It says edible insect processing like cooking or freezing may inactivate parasitic developmental forms. Tiania solium is killed by cooking pork to an internal temperature of 65 degrees Celsius or freezing it to 20 degrees Celsius for at least 12 hours. It just goes through a bunch of the different methods that can be used to kill any pathogens. But man, the list of things that they were finding is enough to turn me right off. Campylobacter, Salmonella, Kobayashi, things I don't know what they are because this isn't my area of expertise. Streptococcus group D. Oh, yeah. Now, in fairness, I guess if you ate raw meat, you would be exposing yourself to all kinds of things that could make you ill as well, or raw chicken, raw pork. But I don't think it's natural for human beings to eat bugs. Maybe it's cultural on my part. Maybe, maybe someone can prove me wrong, but I don't want to eat them. I'll be checking the ingredients at the grocery store very carefully from now until the day I die. Because I don't want to eat crickets, cockroaches, mealworms, or any other insects. No, thank you.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, no! Mr. Bugs!
Okay, we are going to fire up the phones a little early tonight so you can call in and join the conversation. Here's the number to call.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975. Free. Speak up. Speak out. Make your voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, so we're back, and let me just bring up the system onto the screen so that the audio pipes through. And there we go. So tonight you can join the conversation at this number. I will bring it up on the screen for you. 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975-3733. So we are going to the phones a little earlier than usual tonight, so some of you may not have been ready with your phones, but there you are. You can call in anytime now. Let me see if I've missed anything else here. I think we touched on all of the main stories that we wanted to talk about this evening. Pretty much it. Tell me what you think of that Rihanna song, the artificial intelligence single. Is that the first artificially generated hit single? I guess it's gone viral online. I guess it's appropriate too that it becomes famous or goes viral online rather than end up in the public sphere via mainstream radio. I guess it had to happen that way. Let me just double check the phone lines here. I will be right back.
Fighting the Great Reset. By leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
Okay, again, you can call in at 1-833-975-3733. Here's our first caller of the night. Hello, go ahead.
Hey there.
Hi.
Hi. No bugs for me. Thank you.
Yeah, me either.
Oh my goodness. You know, computer generated music has been happening for quite a long time because we've had trance music and all this other stuff. And, you know, for dancing, mindless dancing, I don't have a problem with it when you're in the space for it, right? And you want to burn some energy and just do some mindless dancing. But if you actually want to appreciate music, and sorry, I did have to call in about this. I had to, because it's about music. But, you know, honestly, there's no way to replace the connection of the spirit, soul, heart, that when an artist is actually playing the music, the connection that happens between the artist and the people in the room. There's something unexplainable that can happen, and I've lived it, and it's very, very special. No amount of robotics or fancy this and that will ever replace it. But yeah, I mean, you know, the computer generated stuff, it may have its place, but unfortunately it went overboard, and now people pay DJs crazy amount of money in place of actual artists now. That drives me crazy even to this day. You know, so I don't know, but hey, I made 4 cents, so.
Yeah. What do you think about
yeah.
what ethical issues and artistic issues do you think that this kind of technology raises for artists, for society? Because you're seeing also in the movie industry, they're bringing back dead actors, you know, and
yeah, that's crazy.
Putting them into movies with computer generated imagery.
It's already been pushing out actual talent, like real talent, people that, you know, spend a lot of money and a lot of time studying and practicing the crafts. There's already been a hard hit on artists and actors, and like even with there's computer generated paintings now. I mean, it's getting out of control. But the thing is that if people don't keep supporting the real artists, and they fall into this trap, you're going to lose the real artists completely. And imagine the world without that. Personally, I cannot, because for me, true, like a human being that can share a true craft is irreplaceable. They create memories for you that last your lifetime, be it through a song, through a moment in a movie, and all of that. There is no way any computer generation is ever going to capture that. That is like trying to capture the essence of the human soul. Impossible. And I'm very passionate about that, because I have absolutely, you know, I've lived with artists. I've seen the toil, the struggle. I've lived the struggle, what we put into, and the sacrifices in order to do what we do. And on every level, be it actors, singers, dancers, there's tremendous amount of skill, and amount of money that goes into equipment that people don't, you know, at all seem to appreciate. I mean, we've got inside jokes all over the place. You know, people saying, "Oh, you know, hey," and this has happened to me many times. I wound up singing for my supper many times, you know, because, you know, invite Deb to a party or invite so and so to a party. Yeah, it'll be fun. And before you know it, you're playing an entire set, and you just earned your meal when everyone else could relax and then just enjoy the party. I mean, imagine inviting a plumber, like, you know, the joke about plumbers, right? Or whatever. Try to get a plumber to come to your place on a Sunday afternoon for free. I mean, many times an artist of some sort, an actor, artist, whatever, has invested as much hard work and financial whatever into their craft, just as much as any plumber or whatever, doctor, whatever. Try to get them to go and do it for free on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, you know, see that the technology has always changed things. People are generally afraid of those changes. Sometimes they push back hard, but somehow we always adapt. Whether you're looking at the first motion pictures, or maybe a better example would even be, just because it's more recent, the introduction of VHS tapes. There were predictions that VHS tapes would put theaters out of business. And while it was disruptive, movie theaters actually thrived, and I think became even more popular and more profitable during the period of like the 1980s with VHS tapes being, movie rentals. I think it stimulated interest in the movies even more, or even, records, the radio.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's always a double-edged sword, it seems. But I don't know if you're noticing, but have you heard that record stores? I know I have a friend in Vancouver who has a record store. Record sales, pardon the pun. People are buying up records like you wouldn't believe now. People are going back and craving that connection. Yeah. You're never, honestly, you're just never, ever going to replace that. So you can go through another decade of AI generated music. And the problem with that too, it makes it a dangerous weapon, because you probably know about this. Sometime back, they changed the frequency that we artists were even allowed to record our music. Like when I recorded my last single, I had to make sure that in the studio that it was recorded at the right frequency, or it would never get airplay, because it's mandated, there's the word, that you could not play on the old frequency. There's something to be said about that. People should fall into that rabbit hole and realize that the brainwashing levels aren't just in the media. It's in a lot of things. And that's why, but we always come back to craving and needing that human, soulful, intrinsic connection that cannot be replicated. And no artist is the same. No actor is the same.
What do you mean by recorded at the right frequency? What does that mean?
Well, this is being spontaneous, because, and if I knew I was going to talk about it, I would have the details for you. But there, at some point in time, and maybe even Leo knows about it, but at some point in time, there was a point where they changed the frequency level that we were able to put music out, put anything out. They changed, like, I'd have to go into the rabbit hole again and give you the actual information, but this is very spontaneous, but it's real. It is, they did, if anyone in the chat could trigger my memory right now.
Yeah, I don't know what that, I'm not familiar with that. I don't know what that is. But
yeah, I could get back to you on that. I can get back to you on that. But yes, at some point in time, they changed the regulation frequency that was allowed to be used for recordings. And yeah, there's a reason for that, right? Because like music is very healing, like energy, very, very healing. And yeah, they didn't like that, that effect to be happening, right? And I mean, we've got, DJs make a great amount of money, it's amazing. I struggle with that a lot, because I hear the actual artists, they don't even get paid near what the DJ gets played when the artist is actually. Are you referring to
frequency or like the sound level, the decibels that it would be recorded at? Because like, depending on how much compression you put on, and Phil Spector had that concept that he employed, the wall of sound. And when when I'm processing content for broadcast, I run all the audio through a compressor to level out all the audio to make it all even. And there are regulations that prevent stations now from increasing the audio levels during commercial breaks, which was for a while a common practice to get people to pay more attention. The commercials would come on and they'd be louder than the actual program.
Yes.
Is that the kind of thing you're referring to?
No, it's different than that.
Well, maybe we'll find out more later.
But yeah, I'll have to, again, spontaneity, hey, can shoot you in the foot sometimes. I brought it up. It's my fault.
Actually, Steve's here right on the line, and I can bring him into the conversation. He says he has some information about what the frequency thing is. Hi, Steve. What do you know what we're talking about?
Great.
Can you shed some light on
this?
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, this goes back to, I believe, the 30s. It's 432 versus 442. And so 442, or hold on a sec, I'm going to get it backwards here. One of them is the frequency that sounds good to us, brings us to a higher vibration, makes us feel good. And the other is irritating, literally irritating. And believe it or not, it was under one of Hitler's guys that came up with this, and then they enforced it to cause irritation in people. Just one sec, I could tell you exactly here.
Bang on, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of these things that are out there, and this one just always bugged me. I said, so it's 432 and 440. I think I said 442. That's a car. Which is which? So 432 is the one that sounds good and is really good. And one of the reasons I know about this is I get irritated from listening to music, and I kind of figured out eventually that that's probably why. Love music, but after a while it just grates on me. And they do it in a whole lot of things for that reason. And there's a gentleman who, not Clive to Carl, there's another gentleman who, I think he's a doctor or a naturopath. And he does a whole lot of work on this. And he just did an interview recently. Should be able to find his name here in a minute. But yeah, the whole purpose was irritation in the masses and to use it for hypnotic states.
Yes. Yeah. They did a lot of experimenting on that, and then they did permanently change the frequency that we were allowed to record music at. Excellent. Thank you.
And like you said, they did outlaw the other one. So I'm not surprised that you ran into that.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, they've been at it, this kind of shady stuff, for quite a while, hey? And, you know, it really makes you wonder.
Yeah, Dr. Len Horowitz.
Yes.
Dr. Len Horowitz does a whole lot of energy healing, and he uses the frequencies to help bring people to better health.
Yes, thank you. I wasn't prepared for all that, but you explained it very well. Thank you for that.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to learn more about that. I'm not really familiar with it.
Yeah, and pretty big.
That plays into Dr. Emoto's work. Dr. Emoto is the Japanese doctor who would say pleasant words versus harsh words to water, and then have it flash frozen to see what type of crystals. And then, so he'd play classical music and then do it, and classical music produced really beautiful ice crystals, whereas heavy metal would produce really ugly looking crystals, like just more like clumps as opposed to snowflake looking. When I was in university, I preferred, like when I did my studies, I always listened to classical music and stuff. And so before I'd run out the door, I'd usually throw my jug of water next to it before I'd go off to class, just so my water would hear the classical music before I took off. Sounds silly, but I believe it makes a difference. Just like talking to your plants or playing music to your plants helps them to grow.
Absolutely. We're all energy, and that's the thing. And that's why we as humans, we keep going back to nature. We keep going back to that energy that makes us feel good. And yeah, they can get away with pushing the transit stuff for a while, but human nature, they keep trying to suppress that natural need in us to connect to the energy in the universe. And that involves water, nature, music, sound, all of that. And how, and the saying that how somebody leaves makes you feel, that is what sticks, or something makes you feel. That's what sticks with you more than what their actual words are or whatever. It's how somebody leaves you feeling, right? And that's what they're trying to suppress and control. And they've been, at that for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I guess they have been.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Steve explained that very, very well, and I really appreciate that, because my mind goes blank sometimes, it's been a thorn in my side ever since they did that, because I'm fully aware and Steve's 100% right, how different types of music can affect how you feel. There's some things that make me feel very anxious. Certain music will come on and I have to immediately get it off because it makes me feel very anxious. So yeah.
And we have somebody else who wants to come in and join this conversation too. Who's this? Is this, who do we have on the line now?
You got Mike here.
Hiya, Mike. You have something you want to add about the frequencies being used to record and broadcast music?
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with it. Not sure if it was the middle 30s or around 1945. It was around that era. Used to be the tuning was 430 or 432, somewhere in that
432,
range.
Yeah.
And then for some reason they changed it to 440 or 442, and it does have an effect on you. I've been to venues where I've had to leave. Like the frequencies coming out of the bass and the drum and the other instruments was so intense that physically I got sick. You can literally tear down a building with the right frequency. They got a story about that, I think, in the Bible, where the horns of Jericho takes down a mountain or something like that. I forget exactly how it goes, but it's all on frequencies. I used to do it with my mom when I wanted to get my way. I would play my guitar and I would tune it at a certain frequency that would just bring her down to a real nice mood. And I would start that on Monday, knowing that Friday I want to stay out a little bit later. I was younger, and in those days when Mom said 10 o'clock be home, you were home 10 o'clock. But I wanted to go roller skating, and that didn't end until midnight. So to get my way, I would use these frequencies to really make her feel good.
Yeah.
And like it's 100% correct.
Yep.
You can, if you have a problem sleeping, you can go on the YouTube there. They got all these meditations with different frequencies that will help you meditate better, maybe help you study better. But what they're doing now, and I think they even changed the frequency a bit. I haven't been listening to the music, but with this newer style music, I don't know what they call it. I don't know, it just sounds like someone trying to rhyme on beat. No real music to it, but there's something about it. I hear it for about 10, 15 seconds, and I can't stand it. Like, I get really irritated really fast.
Yeah.
She's correct, and that gentleman is 100% correct about that. It's pretty much it on that.
What do you guys think about that artificially created Rihanna cover of the Beyonce tune? Did you hear that?
I haven't heard it.
Oh, I ran it earlier on the show.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that was, I mean, you personally, I can tell, like, because I'm very sensitive to it, but it's close, right? It's not, but yeah, I could never listen to that myself, at all. I'm not a fan of her music anyway, but, doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what they are pushing with this whole AI thing. And I think it's going down a very dark, slippery slope, and it's not a good direction at all. But I am seeing more and more in the trenches that more and more people are craving just the real, true stuff again. I think it's going to be more repulsive to people now. I think we've been already very overly bombarded with technology as it is, and the need and the craving for just raw connection again with everything that we all know and love and are naturally connected to. I think that is becoming a stronger force. Personally, that's what I believe.
Sorry about that. If you want to hear a difference between frequencies like that, listen to something something older. Jimi Hendrix. He played in 340. Okay, now you listen to one of his original albums, and then get a newer copy that says remastered, and listen to the two, and you'll notice something different. When you go to a concert, if you go see Aerosmith, for example, or AC/DC, that'll be played in 440. If you go to the symphony, that'll be in 430, 432, something.
Is that because in one case we're listening to the devil's music?
I'd say listening to the devil's music is all about the message that's behind it. If you keep on yelling, the devil is great, and you're singing songs to it and everything, you're going to brainwash you, man.
Isn't that band, Rick?
It is a form of brainwashing.
It is, yeah. Definitely.
There's so many things. Like, hell, I had to give away my TV at one point because I couldn't stand looking at it. I kept on seeing the flickers.
Seeing the what? Sorry?
The flicker rate.
The flicker rate? On videos?
The Chinese started it, and they started doing this flicker rate on the screens, and it would kind of hypnotize the kids to really love a cartoon. When they tried it over here with the same cartoon, kids were having seizures.
Oh my God.
Like really violent. Like the things that you could do with sound and lights. Like you could take a person that is completely sane, and you know him for 40 years, nicest guy you ever met, and next thing you know it, he's front page of the newspaper because he did something really crazy.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that, but yeah, I think we're getting a little sidetracked, but
it is part of a MK Ultra.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, all this mind control stuff it's all connected, and they've been trying to do all this for a long time. And yes, I know AI has been around for a long time, but it's just becoming more prominent, and they're pushing it because I guess they think that we're going to be more accepting of it now because of everything else that's going on with the smart this and the smart that. But honestly, I think there's going to be a big pushback. The more I talk to people and stuff, people, like I said, seem to be reaching back and like enjoying older music more, and buying records. And, yes, I think there will always be a place for especially the youth to want to go and dance their faces off and party and jump around because they got all the energy. They don't need meaningful music to do that per se. They just need a good beat and the sound to be pleasant enough, right? But I think, yeah. But I would love for the frequency to get back to the way it was before they changed it on us. The world was a calmer place. It just was. People listened to each other more. People were calmer. There was less agitation. I don't know.
I'm behind you 100% on that one. Sometimes I see a person in a car and like they're just freaking out and they got the music just blasting. They're freaking out and they don't even know why they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think I agree with you.
So you have people driving down the road in a car with a giant subwoofer in their back and their hair standing up on end, and they're freaking out, and it's so loud their windows are cracking, and they're like, I don't know why I'm freaking out. Pretty freaking obvious.
Yeah,
man.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just that unseen energy, right? That, we are all affected, and, the whole agendas know this, and that's, I think, this whole 5G and all of that is like, it all comes into play. Energy. We are energy, and we could have a much calmer society if we kept the energies at a much better frequency. For sure.
Well, if we want to get the frequencies right, then we got to get the right people in there. So all these people that are in charge, we got to get rid of them because they're the ones that are pushing it.
Yes, 100%.
And it's not. I'm not talking about the politicians. I mean, they are part of it. I know. We got to go directly into the right into the heart of the industry of the entertainment. If some guy that owns Warner Brothers turns around and says, you know what, I don't want to ever hear rock and roll again, and it's only country, that's it. Hope you like country.
I learned to like it. But when I was touring in rock bands, I was too cool for that.
I found
I don't like country. A lot of it has.
What do you have there, Steve?
An older news article here. He was mentioning about the flicker rate.
Yeah.
It's 2 paragraphs here. It doesn't have the date. It just says December 20th, BBC bars television hypnosis because it's too real. It says here, the British Broadcasting Corp announced today that it had so successfully experimented with hypnotism by television that the feat would not be tried in the general broadband. The experiment was carried out on a closed circuit, not fully televised, this week by Peter Casson. In the first test, 12 volunteers from the BBC staff subjected themselves to the hypnotist, and 5 of them went into a hypnotic state, the BBC said. In a second test, Casson made a direct attempt to hypnotize 6 persons watching the screen in a darkened room, and 4 went to sleep.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that flicker rate makes a difference for sure.
Yep.
I'm curious, Rick, you mentioned the devil's tone. Do you know something about the tritone?
Well, I just know that,
well,
you guys probably know more about it than I do. I just know that if you, a lot of the metal music that is out there is done with like a drop D tuning, right? Which is supposed to be like the devil's note.
Right. Yeah. The devil's chord or the tritone. Yeah. I don't know much about it. I wouldn't have thought of it if you hadn't brought it up, but
it definitely
that goes
has
way
an ominous sound to it. It's, in fact, I think at some point, and this is just off the top of my head, but I think at one point the Catholic Church would forbid the use of the devil's tone.
That was my understanding.
There's an older movie featuring Steve Vai on guitar. I think the movie was called Crossroads.
Yeah.
About
about
the devil and the music, and it all turns out to be good against evil. But at the end of the movie, the last chord was
God's chord. It wasn't the devil's chord. It was God's chord.
Yeah, because Steve Vai represented the devil, and he couldn't play.
Yeah.
He couldn't play that.
Exactly.
Couldn't play that.
I mean, it was a really good movie. I must have seen it. I've seen that movie about 5-6 times.
Yeah.
No, like, I think it's a good movie.
Well, that's an age-old tale. You know, you got to meet down at the crossroads. It's a it's a tale told by many blues musicians.
Yeah, there's a big legend behind it, and the legend, from what I understand, is you meet the devil at some point, and you pass over your guitar, and he tunes it, and you go home, and next thing you know, it's your famous.
Well, you make a deal with the devil, and you end up with a career like the boys in Kiss or AC/DC or Metallica, and you do the bidding of the dark side.
Well, Bob Dylan admitted that on 60 Minutes, right? And then
yes.
There was a researcher who looked into that, and he actually had a handful of dirt that somebody picked up for him at the crossroads. I can't think of where exactly it is, but it's just a 2-lane road in 2 different directions, and they call it the crossroads. Apparently, it was the original, and that dates back to a jazz musician who used to play the fiddle, and apparently that's where the legend starts. At least that's where he got to with it, and they would say he'd get on the stage. At first, he couldn't get a gig anywhere, and he made the deal. And then afterwards, it sounded like he was playing multiple violins or fiddles at the same time when he was on stage, and he always performed with his back to the crowd. And sometimes people said it didn't even look like his hand was on the bow, but it's quite the legend.
Because Eddie Van Halen used to play with his back to the crowd too at first, to hide that he was tapping, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well,
so maybe he made a deal with the devil too.
Well, a few of them have admitted it in recent years. There's been quite a few people that say that that's really how you make it big in music. I'm trying to think. There was 2 or 3 other. Remember the drummer? Yeah, Beyonce. Beyonce's drummer. They've been in like a 10-year feud, and she swears that has to do with that. That Beyonce worships the devil. If you look it up on YouTube, you'll see a bunch of videos of her ex-drummer, and Beyonce's had not let it go. Like, they're still in a lawsuit, and it's 10 years on.
And they're in a feud.
Yeah. So she had a drummer. I'm 90% sure it was a drummer, and she did not like they had little rituals, football players, musicians.
Okay, yeah.
She did not like Beyonce's rituals, and as they got more and more involved and more grandiose, this woman says she's a Christian. She just couldn't participate, and Beyonce gave her an ultimatum. Anyway, she walked away and said why she was.
Her.
And when she said why she left, that's what got her in trouble, I guess, with Beyonce. And Beyonce has sued her a couple of times. And she gets detailed in some of the stories when she's talking about it, not too often. So this woman has alluded to what's going on there and said it was very satanic.
To be able to stand up like that, that's awesome. It gives me hope to hear stories like that, because you keep thinking, like, it seems like everybody just complies to everything. Like, does what they're told, even in the music biz, right? Like, and I was never one of them. So here I am. I'm unfamous.
Well,
I was never a good complier. Do as you're told.
But there's a bit of credence lent to the story when you think about Jay-Z and his feud there for a while with what's his name? He was just on Alex Jones there. He was big and lost the big contract there with Adidas. I can't even think of his name.
Kanye West.
Kanye.
Kanye.
He changed his name to J or Z or something.
Yeah.
So
I think he's back to Kanye again.
Yeah. So he
Yay now.
Apparently that. Sorry.
He's just Yay. He's
Is he still
So-
Yay?
Yeah,
He's just
Yay.
yay, I think.
Well, I guess
Yay West.
A has led some credence to the other feud because of his feud with Jay-Z a few years back, if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
Yes, I saw some of those interviews. Yes.
So it
If
wasn't
you go
some lone.
back, listening to the Led Zeppelin, they used the 430 tuning too. Most of the super great ones that have lived through the past of time, most of them, the greats they weren't using the 440, they were using the 432.
Yep.
But they had their own studios. They were able to create without the management, so they were allowed to push out what they wanted. Not many
For
were
sure.
allowed to.
No, and it was hard to get
the
airplay
Doors
too.
were the same. Same with the Doors. Their tuning was 432.
Right.
But then as time went by, it was, hey, this is it, and that's how it's going to go. And if you don't, there's the door.
Yeah, they put it across the board and signed, sealed, and delivered. And if you wanted to do what you do, you had to do it, or you got no airplay. And yeah.
Like when I was playing guitar, when I jammed around with friends, everybody wanted the 440, right? Okay, fine. But when I played at home by myself, I tuned it down to the 432. First, because it sounded nicer. Second, it was a lot easier on my fingers to keep on doing the notes for the length of hours that I was playing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm just noticing in the chat some of the stuff that people are saying. And, somebody's mentioned CERN as well in there. I honestly believe that the powers that be, and I'm not going to name anything, there is a war, as it were, and part of that is on us. And part of that is controlling us through frequency and sound. With the 5G and all of that kind of stuff, things that are coming out about all this, the way they're pushing energy, the way they are, is highly suspect, I would say, coming from my position, being in the music business. Makes me very, very concerned and wary. But I don't want to neglect mentioning my total disdain about the Dalai Lama, though. I got to tell you that I was hoping you weren't going to show that video, but
just that picture is gross.
just the photo itself was is bad enough, but the live action that
was like drinking sour milk.
Yeah.
And then throwing a beer on top of that with a shot of whiskey.
Yeah.
I mean,
make it all
go down good at all. Like,
no, not at all.
How can they justify defending that?
I know. Where is the justification there?
Oh yeah, no big deal. It's just you don't understand.
Yeah,
I think I get it.
You don't understand. Okay.
Well, that makes me wonder. Like, I mean, even the Dalai Lama would.
Unfortunately. But
like,
here's the thing.
I mean, you wonder about everybody else. Of
course.
Like, they're all a bunch of freaks. I think they're worse than what we even want to realize. I think when we actually find out how evil a lot of these people are, not just in the politics, but in the music, in the movies.
Yeah. It's slowly leaking out. It is slow. They can't hide it anymore. And they're getting so brave about it too, because they feel like they're winning, with all this censorship. that's going on. And now that they have the people in place with the governments and stuff pushing the censorship and squelching us down, they're getting so confident, it seems, and arrogant that, you know, there is, like, the fashion shows are completely 100% satanic. How many concerts have been satanic based with the imagery and everything? It's astounding what's happening. Like, you know, and then we've got like the human trafficking stuff, the child trafficking, there is so much going on. Oh my Lord. But they're getting really brave about it all, and they're not hiding it so much now, right? This is you know, and the video of that woman, like, oh, it was so cringe-worthy when she was a psychologist or something. I can't remember. Anyways, she actually sat there trying to explain pedophilia, and that we were the bad people. You know, we are bad because we're calling them pedophiles, when in actuality, they're just minorly attracted. Pardon?
Oh, yeah. Oh, talk about getting me upset. Oh my God. Like,
right?
I don't have children, but I love children, but I don't love them. Oh my God. You know, a place that I recently lived at, right across the street from me, was this little kiddie daycare. And one of the greatest joys of my life was sit and wait and watch for the moms and dads who could drop off the kids. I mean, there's just a way to jump out of that.
Yeah, the pure joy and innocence.
And hugging their friends and everything like that. Just like the joy in my heart that came. And then on the news, and I go, oh yeah, and then this guy, like, how many times has he been to Epstein Island?
Right? Like, there's so much craziness, right? And I get it, because there's something very special about the pureness and the innocence and the joy that exude from children. And they are like that about everything in life, because everything is new and interesting and exciting. And they're trying to exploit that.
Listen,
that is
guys,
criminal beyond words.
To wrap up, because we do have other calls in the queue.
Yep. Oh yeah, sorry, Rick.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rick. I didn't want to last this long, but
no, it's okay.
Well, thanks for having me on. We meeting Miss and the other gentleman,
Steve.
Yeah. But I wasn't going to call in, but I have to comment on those frequencies, because that is 100%. That is 100% correct. That is all true.
And thank you for calling in and sharing the info that you had too. And Steve as well. Thank you so much, you guys, because I had a brain fart and I opened my mouth before I had the backup plan to back up the info, and you guys backed me up, and that was awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you to all three of
you, Rick.
for joining.
God bless the people, and I guess I'll say good night, and I'll keep on listening till the end.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. We're going to move on to our next caller. And here we go. Let's see who we have next here. Okay, go ahead. You're on the air. Who do we have with us?
Hey, Rick. How are you?
I'm fine. Who's this?
It's Rose. I haven't been on for a couple of months, and so hard act to follow. I don't know.
That's okay. Just make sure you speak right into your microphone there. It's right into your phone. You're a little bit muffled.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Is that better?
A little bit. We'll see how it goes. What do you want to talk about?
Not to bring a downer, but I was wondering, with this whistleblower, so to say, in the United States, about American troops being on Ukrainian soil.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, we were in a restaurant with my son, and there was a gentleman with a jacket on with a Canadian insignia on his jacket, an older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I love your flag. It was a Canadian flag, just to open up a conversation. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, yeah, it's in memory of, it's to signify that her daughter is on tour in Ukraine, and she's been there for 8 months. My question is that did Canada declare war on Russia?
Okay, I didn't
because did you understand what I was saying?
No, I don't understand what you're asking. No. Can you?
Okay, well, what I'm saying is that we're if we have NATO troops on Ukrainian soil,
yes,
or certain countries, are they declaring war on Russia? Because as far as I know, it's supposed to be Ukrainians fighting.
Yeah,
if
they put American or Canadian soldiers into Ukraine rather, then yeah, it really does actually take it to a new level, because they are engaging in warfare against Russia. They've been trying to hide that clearly, and they have now been exposed. That is very dangerous, because if now that that's out in the public, Russia can say, well, you are now officially at war with us. It's a prelude, or maybe even just a revelation that leads to instant escalation and a full-blown war between Russia and the United States, which the Ukraine situation really is. So yeah, but the U.S. has not declared war. So in that respect, what the Biden administration is doing is, I think, actually illegal. They haven't followed proper protocols. They haven't gone to Congress. They haven't done what they need to do to actually declare war.
What about Canada?
Same thing. Canadian troops shouldn't be in there.
Well,
I know that they've had people in there. They're supposed to be in a training role only, but that's clearly not what's been going on. So yeah, it's very dangerous.
Concerning. And then and what he said was, my daughter, after she came back and then went back again, he said that she forbade me to talk about it. So I wonder why that is.
Well, because they would never, because loose lips sink ships. And when you're in the military and you're, in any war zone, they don't want you to tell anybody where you are or what your activities are. They keep it all secret. You're not supposed to reveal any of that information, because they don't want the enemy to know what the troop movements are. They don't want to reveal positions, methods, any troop sizes, any of that.
Well, they were talking about training in Poland and all of that, and outside of the peripheries. So I'm just saying that it's kind of disheartening, and I think you're absolutely correct. I don't want to send my sons into war, or my daughter, as a Canadian. That's just my opinion.
Right.
On a better,
I'm going to get you to wrap up, because I am having trouble hearing you. Your audio is really kind of muffled, so we've got to move on. But please call back another time, okay? I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay, and here's our next caller. How are you tonight? All the way from Alabama.
What's up, buddy, Rick?
Well, you tell me. Just tell people, introduce yourself, because I don't have the name.
This is Exer from Alabama.
Exer?
And I was calling you about the, yes, sir.
Yep.
Axel.
Like
Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Hey, I was talking about with the girl was talking about the frequency a while ago. I can't think of her name. I'm short-minded. But she was talking about the frequency. Well, I caught on what she was saying, because I was sitting there always videoing my music that I make on my phone, because I didn't have the technology or whatever to record it and put it on CDs like I do now.
Yeah.
And they started. These people over there in Ukraine, they, Eric and them and Dave, they found my music, and they told me to send them something that's more clearer, because there was a different frequency, like when I was doing it off my phone, and if you play it, had a more of a to it than more of a like a muffle, like more muffler, And I was like, yeah, I understand what she was saying.
I'm surprised
But I
everybody's
thought that was
focused on
pretty
this
cool.
frequency issue. And what we were originally talking about was artificial intelligence coming up with a plan to exterminate humanity. Nobody wants to talk about that, but everybody wants to talk about the frequency that music is recorded at. There won't be any music if we're all annihilated.
No, I'm just saying, like, there used to be a radio station here a long time, maybe like a couple of years ago on our radio that we used to have here. And there's this Army base right up the road here. It's called Anderson Depot. Yeah. And the thing about it is they bought the frequency from that radio. So we can't get that. You know, we used to get like the local radio station, like the news, stuff like that right there. And like the state would get this, like it's a radio station where nothing but the state would get. Well, anyway, the National Army, they bought that frequency over so they can have that currency. You see, that's probably what everybody's talking about.
A radio frequency for transmitting on radio?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I don't think that's what they're talking
yes,
about.
Sir.
They're talking about that the frequency range at which music is recorded, I think, is what they're really referring to.
I'm with you now. I'm kind of confused with it, but that was pretty cool. They was talking about the frequency because I was sitting here like, wait a minute, man, because I recorded off my phone and like this right here, but the frequency that you're saying with these IAs, man, they got this technology where they can transport their technology to another technology to grow even stronger.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little off base. I'm gonna move on because I don't think we're quite on.
All right, Rick, man, it was good to meet you, brother. It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Right, have a good one.
Call back again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a good night, dude.
Yeah, you too. Is it Ian? Hello, go ahead. You're on.
Oh.
Hi.
Rick?
Yes.
Hi, it's Mo calling.
Oh, Mo. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well tonight. I'm actually just looking at I'm checking in because all my frequencies here, I can't contact the show via chat. I've been having a lot of issues, whether they're my own issues or what, because I'm not really fluent in all this, and I've got a lot of kind of electrical shit going on in here. So I can't communicate when I want to communicate. I'm on the phone here, and I had to check that because I have issues with my phone. I don't want to pair it with my car. Like, I've been having serious conversations. Well, let's say they've wanted to talk, whether they're phonies or what, I don't know. People like the guy that's running AI, they're leaving me. They want to talk, or I always say I go to talk? You're imposters.
Who wants to talk to you?
Well, Elon Musk, for example.
He
sends me a text on. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's him or an imposter, right? This is the thing I'm dealing with right now. I can't even. I've been in a motel room. I'm going through Wi-Fi, so I don't know if that's an issue. Whatever. There's a whole lot of, I guess uncoverings. I've got a lot of, I don't know.
Anybody else trying to talk to you?
Well, yeah, but they come around and I try to call them out like they're all, I'm who I am saying I am. I'm like, dude, why would you be getting in touch with me? Like, I'm just a fucking ding dong up here in Canada, but yeah. And so I'm actually trying to spin it in another way now. If that is for real, you guys get a hold of me. Come and see me face to face. Quit fucking me around. Anyway, that's as far as this communication goes, as the AI, the computer, all that kind of shit, right? This frequency thing. Yeah. I think it's got a lot to do with, I've had a lot of strange conversations through the last couple of years. I didn't say it just started this week or nothing. This has been going on for some time.
Who else is trying to? Strange conversations with whom?
Well, this is all chat, right? It's all, I don't go on I'm on Instagram. That's it.
Okay.
And they've come on there and they've tried to drag me onto another chatting forum where I can chat, or they've given me Donald Trump, for example.
Donald Trump's contacting you too?
Elon. Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the big, you know. So I'm saying it's all fantasy. It's all up in the sky. What the, you know, what the hell? What the hell? Like I don't know. I had to change my services. I'm on a burner phone. I got you know, I'm nothing's reliable. Well, I kind of mouth off a little bit, but you know.
Why do you think that these people would want to chat with you?
I don't know. I haven't went as far as to follow. Like they've all said, "Oh, you've got prize money here," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I don't need that prize money. I live day to day. You know, I don't want anything from anybody. First of all, so that don't work. You know, then they got, it's strange. It's strange. It's like I don't know. I'm waiting. I thought, you know, I haven't moved I'm here every winter at this place. And, I'm sure they know exactly. They can pinpoint me if they want. And I'm always waiting for them to come up the main drag here to say, "Hey dude, we need to talk to you face to face. Cause I can't talk to you on anything else because you don't fucking talk to me." Right? Isn't that strange?
Yeah. What do you do for a living?
I know. I'm getting the frequency.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a tool maker.
You're a tool maker?
I'm a tool and die maker. Well, yeah, by trade. I've done, fucking lot of shit, but I've done, you know, the tooling industry was good for a long time, and then they brought CNC and all that bullshit in, and it was like, you know, everybody
spend
was
a lot of time
brain,
online,
and,
do
you
you?
know.
Spend a lot of time on the internet?
No, not really, Rick. No, not really. I spend maybe on average a week, maybe 5, 8 hours. 8 hours. Well, and I watch this show every fucking night, you know. So there's maybe, but I'm always too busy. I got something going on in here all the time. Like, I got you on the TV. I can't communicate via, like, I try and chat. Some nights it's like, tonight I can't fucking I want to get in on that frequency thing with the girl, that lady there, the woman. It was just fucking blowing my mind. I can't chat. I can't get nothing out. I can't hook up. So I said, well, fuck, I got to try the phone. I'm on a different phone, so you know, they're not aware of this one yet, or well, I don't know. Well, I have no idea, Rick. Am I paranoid? No, I'm not paranoid. I have a free life. I don't work right now. Well, I'm working for myself, not making any money, right?
I'm not sure exactly what's going on. All I can say is this, because I'm not exactly sure how to assess this call.
Right.
But one thing, okay? If any of those people contacting you ask you to send them money, don't do it.
No, they're not asking for money. They want to send me money.
They want, oh, yes.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you this. That sounds very much like a scam I'm familiar with. Just ignore it.
Right. Well, I bet. But, cool. Yeah, I'm just checking in, dude. I'm just checking in.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they pretend to send you money, but then you have to, what they'll end up doing is asking you to send some money back to them so you can get the money. And then when you go to redeem, there's no money there. So
no, I tell them to talk to Trudeau. Right?
Anyway,
I don't bother. No, I should talk to Trudeau.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll sort it all out. Anyway, no. I just have to check my phone to make sure I'm connected. I can check in here and all good. It's all good.
Well, you're connected, and thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. You have a great night.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay?
Thanks to Mavericks. Yeah, have a good night.
See ya.
Right. Ciao.
So we're going to take a brief break. The number to call, 1-833-975-3733, 1-833-975-FREE.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I'm back, and if you are inclined, you can support the show by donating at freedomreporters.com. That takes you straight to the PayPal donation page or to the Give, Send, Go page at maverickdonations.com. If you want to call into the show, you can do that at 1-833-975-3733. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. Please hit the like button. That would really help us out a lot on YouTube. Make sure that if you do subscribe on YouTube, that you also hit the notification bell so that they send you notifications when we post new videos. And we are really growing over on Rumble. A lot of viewers over there now, which is very encouraging. Please consider subscribing over there as well. Don't just subscribe on one or the other, subscribe on both. A lot of people, I'd say the majority, still in the chat on YouTube, growing on Rumble, but a lot in just YouTube. So, feel free to do it either way. But if down the road we are banned off YouTube, you'll find us over on Rumble. And we are now providing more and more content just over on the Rumble platform and some of the other free speech media platforms, taking it off YouTube because of all the censorship issues that we're facing over with Google and YouTube. Such was the case with the National Citizens Inquiry. So, that's how you can support the channel. Just like, share, subscribe, donate if you're able to. You can also contribute in the super chats, and that helps pay for the phone systems, the subscriptions, the Rumble subscription, which actually costs money, the StreamYard, the video production software that we use here all the time, that call-in system we pay by the minute so that we can process the calls and pipe them in through the system here to make all of that work. So there are fees for all of that and other miscellaneous expenses here in the studio and externally that we have to cover every month. So greatly appreciate your support in that way. Hang with me just for a minute longer. I'm going to push some more buttons here and I'll be right back.
Fighting the Great Reset by leading the Great Resistance. Maverick News. The antivirus programs for your mind.
And I'm back. It is now 8:20 p.m. So I think what we're actually going to do tonight, folks, is I'm going to wrap it up a little bit earlier than usual because it's been a very, very long week, and I have some other work that I'd like to attend to here, including some production work here for the show so that I can prepare for tomorrow's broadcast. I appreciate everybody joining us here. It's been a really good week, actually, overall. We were able to bring you all the coverage of the National Citizens Inquiry, which is now wrapped up. It's a 3-day tour in Winnipeg, and all of those programs are still up over on the Rumble channel, so you can check all of that out over there. And I will be back tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everyone, for spending your time here tonight. And great callers tonight. It was nice to have that little phone conference, the meeting of the minds there on frequencies. And keep your head up out there because artificial intelligence is expanding at an exponential rate. And the future of humanity hangs in the balance. That being said, I will be back tomorrow night on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.